everyone. Welcome back to the show. An exciting morning. A brand new Trump device made here in the United States of America. St. Louis. Why did you pick St. Louis, Don?
Well, listen, we're going to be having call centers for Trump Mobile in St. Louis, so we're keeping our data onshore. We're going to be manufacturing the phones. Again, you can keep your existing phone, obviously, if you want to, but if you want, American hardware built by Americans here in America without the potential, let's call it, backdoor into the hardware that some of our adversaries may have installed in there. It's really about everything we're doing, Benny. You know that, it's America first, making sure our things are as secure as they can, create value for people in America, create jobs for Americans. We're just excited about it.
It's a beautiful thing. I want the gold version. You have to have the gold. I mean, it's like, listen, you get your Trump sneakers.
Should there be another version even? I mean, it's just gold, right?
It's a beautiful gold brick. They said it couldn't be done. Was this extremely difficult, Don, to set this up?
It's always hard, but so are so many of the other things that we do. We've talked about this a lot, Benny. I've been, fighting sort of for this parallel economy forever. We did it with True Social when we got thrown off of and deplatformed off of the social media platforms. We didn't just crawl in a corner and suck our thumb crying for mommy. We fought back and we built something new. We innovated. When the banking world started deplatforming us, debanking us, closing our accounts all over the place, we got into crypto with World Liberty Financial and USD1, creating an alternative form to the conventional financial systems to really democratize finance. I mean, that's a huge part of what we're doing right now. And so, we're business guys, we're innovators, and we're always going to do what's right, trying to create value for the American public. The banking one and the crypto side is sort of interesting because for decades, there wasn't a person I couldn't call in one of these buildings behind me in New York City that wouldn't take the call, give us a loan in about 2 minutes. And it was once we got political that you realize just how quickly those things went away, and you realize, wait a minute, if we have a hard time getting this stuff, what's the average American? What kind of hard time is he getting? And so we got into a space, not because we knew anything about the business, but because we literally had no other choice. And so we're quick studies, we're good entrepreneurs, we're good businessmen, and there's a lot of exciting stuff going on.
So there was a lot of exciting stuff going on this weekend. I just want to pop over because you were sitting there right beside your father at this epic military parade and a celebration of the United States Army, which is what this all was. It was also Flag Day and your father's birthday, so sometimes the stars align. But there were haters, man. There's a lot of haters that are out here, and Hillary Clinton is one of them. Old and bitter and vicious, and through a box of Chardonnay, she posted that this celebration of the United States Army is something that's low energy and a dear leader parade, and it cost $45 million. And she said that the peaceful protests, the No Kings rallies that were burning down multiple American cities and also seemingly had a connection to political assassinations in Minnesota, that those were peaceful. So I just want to give you an opportunity to respond to Hillary here.
Well, I think it's ridiculous. The whole No Kings thing is about as laughable as it gets. It's like, wow, they were successful. Look, guys, there's no kings, Benny. Frankly, there are no kings in America thanks to the United States Army, which we were celebrating the 250th anniversary of, on Saturday. That's exactly why we have no kings. So it seemed like a little bit of a ridiculous protest, especially coming from a party who seems to anoint their leaders. They don't run them through a process. They don't do anything. I mean, Hillary, I guess, wanted to be anointed again. She certainly wanted to be the queen. The people saw how that worked out the first time for her. They realized that she's the least likable person, not just in American politics, but perhaps in the world. And, didn't anoint her. So I guess that made her a little bit upset. But they did anoint Kamala Harris without going through a democratic process. So, like all things, Benny, the left is really good at sort of projecting. They accuse the other side of doing all of the things that they're doing. So, we have no kings in America. We still don't have any kings in America. We haven't had any kings in America for 250 years. And again, that was thanks to the United States Army, which we celebrated. And if you were there, and I was, on Saturday, you saw this was not something for my father. My father didn't do this. There was a great historical component there, going through the history of the weaponry and the uniforms. I think it was an incredible tribute to the United States Army, to all those people who served so bravely for our country, not just currently, but over the last few centuries. And it was a big deal, and it ended in this incredible fireworks display. But really, what I thought was awesome, it ended in sort of the swearing in of this new class of cadets by the President of the United States on Flag Day, on the 250th anniversary of the United States Army. I thought it was just absolutely amazing.
So the reason that I think Donald Trump is so beloved, in part by the American military and by law enforcement, is that they are willing to take a bullet for us. And now you finally have a president that did indeed take a bullet for this country. And through the hand of God and an act of God, he survived. Yet, even in the No Kings logo, you can see that they're putting an X, like a bullseye, on your father's head. They're still calling for acts of violence. We were at one of these protests this weekend, Don, and they were like straight up, it was like straight up calls to murder the president everywhere. James Comey, putting his little shells together in his, Borat bikini on the beach. What are these people going to stop at? Are you satisfied with some of the investigations that have been happening into Comey, into the shooter, Matthew Thomas Crooks?
Well, listen, I want to see where these things go, but, all of the violence that's been perpetrated by the left, and make no mistake, the left is by far the most violent faction, in American politics. I mean, when you look at what they did, the 2020 Summer of Love, all violence, murder, mayhem, looting, arson, but, it was mostly peaceful protests. When you watch what's going on in LA and some of these other cities, they're mostly peaceful. It's like, none of that looks peaceful to me. They're not mostly peaceful. Okay. Yeah. I'm sure there's some people that are peaceful, but there's a lot of people committing violent acts. They're perpetrating them in leftist states and in blue states. They don't want to enforce them because they understand that's their voter base. So rather than follow the law, no different than on immigration, rather than follow the law, they rather let them get away with it. So they vote for more Democrats again. It's absolutely disgusting. So, there's a lot that has to be done. I have a lot of confidence in the guys, at DOJ and at the FBI and my father's administration, that are going to do these things and get to the bottom of this. And I think, once a couple of these people actually get treated like we would if we were doing these things as conservatives.
Yes.
Once they actually face equal justice under the law and are held accountable for their disgusting and despicable actions, I think some of this stuff can actually stop. But because the left has been so coddled and leftist leaders, whether it's Gavin Newsom or others, Tim Walz, Gretchen Whitmer, you name the clown brigade of the Democrat Party, they're so afraid to actually hold these people accountable because they understand that's the true feeling of their constituents. They are violent, just like the the radical transgender movement is per capita the most violent, domestic terror threat, if not in America, probably the entire world per capita, because you have all these shooters and murderers or attempted murderers, in such a tiny population of a country, and yet they can't. They're beyond reproach, Benny. If this was any other group, you see it. You saw it the other day with the despicable shootings in Minnesota. They're sitting there. Oh, please be a MAGA guy. Please be a MAGA guy. Oh, he happens to be a Tim Walz appointee in his own state. He happened to go after a Democrat legislator, but it seems like he went after a Democratic legislator because she voted against Democrat Party policy, which was the unabashed, unlimited health care funding for illegal immigrants. She actually had a common sense approach, which is to say, hey, let's give American taxpayer dollars to Americans, not to illegals. Let's not bankrupt our healthcare system, bankrupt our coffers. I understand that's incredibly popular with the Democrat Party. They have to give these things to illegals because no one else is voting for them anymore. So they want to stack these cities. They want to stack these voter rolls. They want to influence the census so they get more votes and they can push their asinine policies that have failed America. But, the amount of rhetoric saying that this is going to be a MAGA guy, he's literally a Tim Walz appointee in Minnesota. I have a feeling that leftist Tim Walz isn't exactly appointing conservatives. Apparently he had the No Kings flyer in his thing, but he went after someone that didn't just blindly follow Democrat radical leftist dogma and actually voted in something that makes sense for the people who are footing the bill of these policies and these plans. So it's scary stuff, but it seems to all be coming from the left.
The left violence is baked into their bones, whether it's the congressional shooting or it's the shooting of your father. I know that we're short on time here, Don. I just want to get very quickly to this, since it is something that's quite alarming. And Bibi Netanyahu's on TV saying, like, hey, the Iran's trying to kill the president of the United States right now. Have you received any briefing about, like, what happened in these attempts to kill your father, Ryan Routh, Matthew Thomas Crooks? Like, are these still massive black boxes? Do we know anything more?
Yeah, I'm sure he's received more. As of when my father took the oath of office, I'm out of that stuff right now. I worked hard on the transition, making sure that he had a team of people that'll fight alongside him, not against him, or not doing the bidding of sort of the Uni Party or the Swamp or whoever the likely next candidate was going to be. So, it's great to see him have a team of people that align. But, I don't know. I'm obviously, quite a skeptic as to how, a sniper gets on a roof within 100 yards of the presumptive nominee of a party, unwatched. I think that's disgusting. I don't believe in that kind of coincidence when you've been through the amount of crap that I've been through over the last few years, with the nonsense when you, are the son of the guy that they tried to kill twice. I don't believe in coincidence or little errors, especially not when they add up that bad. So, but I do have faith in, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and the DOJ to eventually get to the bottom of these things. But, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that'll probably be there trying to stall them. There's a lot of things that'll be hidden. You see this discoveries that they're making every week about, here's a room of information that no one other than the radical left is inside the FBI. I'm like, what is going on? I mean, it's hard to believe we're living in America. I feel like we're like a South Park version of ourselves when you see what's gone on for the last few years. So I think you have a great team of people that are trying to get to the bottom of these things, but none of this stuff happens overnight. And again, when you've been in my shoes, when you've had to do congressional testimony for when they want to throw you in jail for the rest of your life, as they did with me, or when they tried to kill your father, trust me, no one has as much of a sort of an axe to grind as I do, but I do also understand that there's a process they have to go through to get to the bottom of it, to make sure that whatever they do discover, can be prosecuted and can stick, that they didn't, sort of break, the way to do these things and give these people an out. But I hope if you're committing crimes in America that everyone is prosecuted, appropriately. And, God knows the left has been doing some shady stuff for far too long. So let's get to the bottom of all of it.
That's right. And the soon-to-be Tom Homan arrest of Gavin Newsom. Okay, we're crossing our fingers here. We're waiting to go live for that one.
Hey, Benny, no one is above the law. I've heard that one for no one's above the law unless you're a leftist, right? Like that's basically, the plan. No one's above the law unless you're a leftist. But, in this country, no one is above the law, and we ought to make sure that we actually enforce that law equally.
Ladies and gentlemen, take out your Trump phones, hopefully the gold version, and follow Don Jr. Here's 15 million followers right here on X alone, but also on Rumble. He has an exclusive show there, Truth Social, and so on. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Don Jr.
Great to be with you,
Godspeed, Don. Godspeed.
Have a good one, bud.